Hello everybody, it's your boy Muse, and today we are going to do a Zenless Zone regret tier list. Do I regret pulling or not pulling for these characters? Okay, yes, we already know that I am doing a only shooters challenge, so the tier list is going to be a little bit different than most regret tier lists. Alright, let's dive right into this. We're going to start with Ambi, and with Ambi, I regret doing the only shooters challenge, okay? Because Ambi and Billy were the two units I had to fight between and decide which challenge do I want to do. Do I want to go ahead and do only swords or only electric? Or heck, if I'd done white hair only, I could have played Ambi and Billy. However, I'd be waiting until... Who was the next white hair character outside of Seth? I'd be waiting until Soldier Zero Ambi. And then waiting for Yi Xuan. When I tell you I could have probably E6'd Soldier Zero's Ambi by the time I got it, right? Crazy. And then I'd be hoping that I pulled Soldier 11 and Lycon. However, I did pull Soldier 11 as my first S rank, so I think I would have gotten out okay. But the fact that I would have to hold my pulls for all of these banners, do you know how much of a pain it was to hold my pulls between Zhu Yuan and Bernice, and then you want me to hold my pulls for all of these banners? I refused. Alright, so next we have Billy, and Billy I have no regrets, even though he is currently slightly benched. He only comes out anytime I need Sons of Caledon or I need a physical carry, right? During Shield defense, but other than that, he's on the bench. But I have no regrets, says the guy that says he regrets the challenge because of Andy. I have no regrets going for Billy, because honestly, had I done swords only, don't get me wrong, I would have Caesar, that would have been great. I would have had Yanagi. You know what, maybe I do have some anyways. Alright, moving on. But then again, I don't think there's any supports in swords. But moving on. Now, when I tell you in the beginning, Nicole was obligatory. But throughout this challenge, this woman is so amazing. I have no regrets having Nicole, okay? I love Nicole. Like I said in my last video, she is
my treasure.
Alright, moving on to Corin. Oh wait, no. No, we're gonna skip. We're gonna do all of my people first, and then we're gonna have some honorable mentions. Everybody else is just gonna be... I don't care. Alright, so moving on. We have Grace. Do I regret Grace? Hell no. I love my Grace. Got her at M2 right now. We're gonna see what she can do. I'm kind of building her as a support Grace. We might have to give her electric pieces back, but we'll see what Protopunk can do for now. Next, we have Zhu Yuan. No regrets here. She is the captain of my account. I want Zhu Yuan to be the Void Hunter of my account. I will improve Astra as much as possible to keep Zhu Yuan on top. I want Zhu Yuan at M6. No regrets. Alright, who do we have next here? Bernice. I do regret picking up a cinema for Bernice. It makes no sense. In fact, I made that tier strictly for Bernice. The fact that she refills faster, that's great, but I feel like I don't need it. And in fact, if I could learn to keep Bernice off the field, that'd be great. But yeah, I did not need her cinema. Her and her weapon is good enough, and she doesn't feel strong enough that I would want to continue getting more cinemas in order to beef her up. It makes absolutely no sense to pick up any cinemas for Bernice. I feel like her and her weapon, that's it. Stop there and move on with your life, because other anomalies come out and they'll be off field. But for me, I don't get to just have any other anomaly. Still regret. Alright. Next we have Haramasa. And I will say Haramasa is... I have no regrets with Haramasa. In fact, the reason I changed from only guns to only shooters, y'all don't even know that I was going to do only guns, is because I saw Haramasa in the promo right before the game release, and I was like, oh, Okay, I can tell Zenless Zone is going to be weird about their weapons, so let me change from only guns to only shooters, just so I have more options to pick from. Had I known that Zenless Zone was going to be this plentiful when it comes to shooters, I probably would have stuck with only guns, because I do want to have a small account. I feel like only a year has passed, and I did not really get to feel the challenge of playing only shooters. Don't get me wrong. When I only had Billy and Nicole and I went up against the Dead End Butcher, oh, life was hard. But as soon as I got Grace, things started picking up. And then we got Zhu Yuan, and things just started going up from there. Alright, so moving on. Next shooter we have Astra. Absolutely no regrets. In fact, she goes ahead of Zhu Yuan because she beefs up Zhu Yuan. I have no regrets when it comes to Astra. In fact, sometimes I can even use Astra with Grace and Bernice. Sometimes I can use Astra with Haramasa and whoever the hell. Astra, I'm just so happy that Astra was a shooter, okay? Because there was a possibility that she could have just been raining lightning, but because she does that little Kameo wave of magic, and because her autos do have like her firing off little magic shots, she's a shooter. Thank you. Had it not been for those two things, I could not have Astra on my account, because there's no such thing as shooting lightning, people. You're conjuring lightning. Alright, moving on. Next we have Pulchra, and I'm gonna admit Pulchra was obligatory. Now don't get me wrong, I have wanted a stunner for so long. Any stunner would have done the trick. But the thing about Pulchra is you have to manage Pulchra so much when you're fighting, right? Like, you have to constantly switch it back into Pulchra just to get her aftershocks back up, but then you have to make sure you don't switch back into Pulchra when she has her aftershocks up, because then she loses all her aftershocks. Either that or she's losing her aftershocks so fast that by the time I switch back to her, she doesn't have any. It's insane. The micromanaging I have to do with Pulchra is a little annoying. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Pulchra because ever since I got Hellfire gear on her, she's been much better, but still annoying. Next, we have Trigger. Alright, and Trigger, no regrets here. I love Trigger. The fact that she can go with any DPS that uses their skill, except Hugo. I feel like Hugo does not activate Trigger nor Pulchra. Maybe he activates Trigger, but he doesn't activate Pulchra. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Absolutely love Trigger. The fact that I was able to clear level 15 of towers with Trigger, Nicole, and Astra, no DPS. Please, don't watch that video. I was so irritated, guys. I was so irritated. But Trigger has been a blessing to this account. Love her. Now, next is Hugo, and I'm gonna admit to you guys, Hugo was absolutely obligatory. At least Pulchra as a stunner, I want Pulchra, right? But Hugo, I have no need for an ice DPS on my account. Zhu Yuan handles all the ice problems because ice and ether go hand in hand. And then here comes Hugo. And here's the thing, right? Hugo prevented me from getting an M3 Zhu Yuan because I was going to throw all my pulls on Zhu Yuan and just skip to 2.0, right? But no, Hugo's a shooter. What are you doing being a shooter? This ain't Ruby. You had a scythe. Stick to it. But no, Hugo said, I'm joining your account, don't get me wrong. He's been a blast to have, except for the fact that I don't have a stunner that works properly with him. Trigger's doing okay, so no issues there, especially since she has Defense Shred with her aftershocks. So that's fine, right? That's cool. Heck, I don't even think it's just her aftershocks. I think it's when she's just off field and then she's even shooting. It's cool. And he also has Defense Shred, so they work together. But him and Pulchra do not work together. I have to switch back into Trigger, activate her skill, and then wait for the quick assist to end before I can switch back into Hugo, or else I'm going to lose all of Pulchra's aftershocks. Guys, Guys, I am praying for either an ice support or an on-field stunner because Hugo needs a team. Hugo's just out here when it comes to me. And he's breaking apart synergies I already had. Like, Haramasa was happy with his Electro team. And heck, I could even play Billy with Pulchra and probably Bernice. It's not a good team, but it's better than nothing. And then, of course, Zhu with her meta team is great. So, as of right now, Hugo needs a team. I can't wait for us to get more shooters, but it looks like Orphe's coming next, and Orphe is most likely going to take Bernice and Pulchra and add them to her team, you know? So, moving on. Now we're going to get to the honorable mentions of who I regret starting this challenge for, okay? Or who I regret not having because I started this challenge. And listen, I tell y'all all the time, I've wanted Yanagi ever since I saw her in the promo, but I already made my decision to do only shooters. I regret it to this day. I would have been a Yanagi main. I would have picked up so many anomaly units just to make sure they work well with Yanagi. I probably would have ended with Yanagi, Bernice, and maybe Seth. Or Caesar. Could have probably done Caesar. But I regret it all. Why did I even do this challenge? Like, listen, when it comes to Ambi, I regret the challenge, sure. But when it comes to Yanagi, why am I going through this punishment? Why do I love hurting myself? And the second most person? Jane. Even to this day, I'll hop in Hollow Zero and I'll use Trial Jane.
You're a phony!
That's how much I regret not having Jane. I know Jane isn't prevalent right now, but I'd still use her against the odds. Alright? I would have had her and Bernice. I would have been doing some damage. I would have found any way to make my Jane the strongest. I would have had Pulchra on the team. Get those aftershocks up, super assaults. Heck, maybe even a Lucy. Got that support for the Pulchra. I would have made things happen. But no, I can never make it happen. Next, Yijuan. I'm gonna put Yijuan back here because, to be honest, it's not like I like Yijuan's combat style. It's just her look. She looks hot, and then the one leg thing kills me every time. Next, Caesar. I regret doing... Oh, wait. I actually like Caesar's combat style. Just a quick swap in and then bam, bam. She holds off the enemy, gets that impact in there. And I love her personality throughout the story. I do regret not having Caesar. And plus, Caesar would have been on my Jane team. I promise you, I would have been an anomaly user. As soon as I found out that Yanagi was an anomaly person, oh, I would have been all over anomaly, okay? All over it. But before I found out, I probably would have been a Jane user, yeah. Probably would have... No, I wouldn't have gone for Ellen Joe because I didn't get lighter on my first. I got Soldier. Alright, so next we have any other honorable mentions. I mean, yeah, there is this Ambi, but to be honest, I don't really like this Ambi, and plus when I was fighting Hugo with this Ambi, it felt terrible. When I was fighting Hugo with Hugo, it felt amazing. Hugo with this Ambi and Lycon, oh man. I felt better with Lycon than I did with Ambi. I do slightly I don't regret the challenge. Let me make a new...
MLB nice.
It would have been nice to be a Nekomata main. Nekomata was my, what? I believe 3rd S rank because I pulled a weapon as a S rank after Soldier. But it would have been nice to be a Nekomata main. I like her playstyle in the beginning. I don't know if she would have held up, but in the beginning she was fun. Looking through these people. The only reason I I'm gonna add him to the It Would Be Nice is because I have him at M2 right now. So it would be nice to play this man. And he could have went well with Hugo. However, had I not done this challenge, I would not have a Hugo. So Lycon would be unnecessary unless I went after Miyabi, but I don't regret any. I don't have any feelings towards Miyabi. I mean, I get it. She's the strongest character in Zenless Zone Zero, and she does have a playstyle I like. But when it comes to Miyabi, I don't feel anything towards having her or not having her. I'm not really gung-ho on meta units because I know that there'll be other meta units like Yijuan. And Yijuan, no offense Miyabi, you're a great person, but Yijuan's hot. Like, she's just hot. And then she's super chill. The way she was sitting on Miyabi's back, I folded. Alright, I folded. Alright, anybody else? I think that's it. I think everyone above this line, I would have liked to have outside of this challenge. Everyone else down here, I don't really care for. I mean, I kind of want the Tiger Girl, but only really because she looks like a good stunner. I don't really care about her like that. I mean, Miyabi might have just been a must pull simply because she's good and I get to play Sukaku. And she basically makes content free. I don't know. Lighter sounded good because of the whole ice and fire res, but I don't really regret anything. No, because Lighter's right there. Rena, I mean, oh wait. Oh, that's gonna be annoying in the editing room. I think that's it, everybody. Everybody else down here looks like... I mean, there is Evelyn, and I'm gonna be honest. Had I not done this challenge, I don't think I would have cared about Astra. But then, as soon as I heard Astra as a support, I'm sorry. Always go for the 5-star support, especially the first one. We learned that with Ruan Mei, you know? So I think I would have had to skip Evelyn regardless. So I'll just put Evelyn in It Would Be Nice. But other than that, yeah, everybody else is I don't care. Like Ellen Joe, I would have only pulled for Ellen had I pulled Lycon first, but I didn't. Alright everybody, that is my regret tier list when it comes to Zenless Zone Zero. As you can see, we don't have many regrets over here. I love my squad. No offense to Hugo. I'm sorry, I just really wanted that Zhu Wen M3. I really wanted it so bad, and then here came Hugo messing up my plans. And then he doesn't even have real synergy with the people I have anyways. Which brings the question, just because I have an only shooters account, does that mean I go for every shooter? Or does it just mean I only go for shooters? I can skip anyone I want. That's a question I'm going to have to answer throughout this journey. Thanks for watching me, everybody. I don't get too many visitors, so I appreciate the people who show up. Good night.
See you later, too.